Have we just had our first real significant update on the Ten Hag situation? Jamie Jackson of The Guardian has just tweeted out, by a reliable source, been told that this review of Ten Hag and the season of Manchester United isn't going to go past this week. Now, that could be wrong, that might be right, but you've also got Howard Nurse, who's dropped his cryptic clue again on Twitter, does this all the time. If you haven't heard of him, I'll tell you all about that and what's happening with Jamie. I have just messaged Jamie now and got a response back from him regarding them reports and what he has just put out there as well. Let's get into it. Let's get into that squad list which has been released. The retain list, Mason Greenwood is on it. So Jim Ratcliffe has said that he will revisit the Mason Greenwood situation in the summer. Well, so Jim, tick tock, time is ticking, time is now. Mason Greenwood is back with the Manchester United squad. He's on his holidays. That squad will then be returning to Carrington very, very soon, within the next few weeks. So Jim, we need a decision, sir. We need to know what's going to happen with Mason Greenwood and what you think is best for the football club and him himself. More reports regarding Jadon Sancho as well and what's happening with that. May touch on that. A couple of other deals that might go with the youth team players regarding that retain list as well. Lots going on today, lots going on this afternoon, but first of all we have to start with that news earlier on that just came up in the last half hour from Jamie Jackson of The Guardian about Ten Hag and a decision whether he's going to be staying at Manchester United or leaving Manchester United to be settled within this week. We're talking about the review. Make sure you give the video a like, make sure you subscribe to Forever United TV. I'm Adam. We are live. Let's get into it. Get your comments in the comments section. What do you feel that this means? Do you feel like it is another false start? Do you feel like the 2-week mark is big enough for Manchester United and this review? Have we waited long enough? Well, Ineos will do what Ineos want to do. We all know that. They're stubborn enough. They've dealt with bigger fish than Manchester United before. They're not going to be pressured by fans or anything like that, or reports, journalists, media, whatever it may be. They'll just do things how they want to do it. But let's be honest, there is a lot to sort out at Manchester United, as we've discussed before. And the biggest out, and the one thing on top of the list, which sort of, like we've said, covers all bases and gets things moving in a few different departments as well, regarding players, agents, players knowing who the manager's going to be and whatnot. Ten Hag's decision, whether he is staying or going, or whether the club think Ten Hag should go or stay, because it is both sides, like we've said. So yeah, that is now priority number one for everybody, because I feel like United are making targets and getting ready for the 1st of July, like we spoke this morning, because that's when our revenues are in for financial fair play, and then we can start buying again for the next financial year. So that's all being done. We've spoke about that. But Ten Hag, whether he's going to be Manchester United manager come next week, really, according to Jamie Jackson. But also amongst the news and the rumour mill going around was that little tweet that went out before from Howard Nurse. Now, Howard, if you've not known what he does before, with his connections, how much connections he's got, I don't know. But he always seems to do this and get everyone riled with his cryptic clues. And the one was tick-tock then, regarding Manchester United. Now, what does that mean? Everyone just went into meltdown mode on Twitter. I don't really pay any attention to it, but because people have been talking about it, we'll just say, look, that alongside what Jamie Jackson has said, a few people are now thinking that there is going to be a decision before the end of this week. Like Jamie said in his tweet, he said it may be in the next 5 minutes. It may be Friday afternoon, Friday evening, right at the death of this 2-week period. But what we do know is that Ten Hag, I'm pretty certain he's going to be back at Carrington next week. Will he know before he gets back? Will Ineos wait? The review will be finished regarding Ten Hag. So a decision in-house will be made. Whether or not we find out about it is a completely different story altogether, and we might not find out until next week. We may be waiting for leaks ourselves, these so-called leaks from Manchester United that Ineos are trying to put a lid on, let's just say that, with what's happening with the staff and the separation of players and staff. I was going to talk about that earlier on today until the stream just went kaput on me. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. But yeah, looking at it right now, I asked Jamie, I went, Jamie, so-called man in the know then. He went, well, it has come from a reliable source and that's what I have been told. Those were his words. He did say to me though as well that I could obviously be wrong, but it is someone that he does rely on and has got information off before. So that's where we're at with Jamie's tweet and what's happening. But he did say it was the review, which will go on no longer than this week. In terms of an answer from that, and when we know about it, that's a slightly different story altogether. We could be waiting maybe till the early stages of next week. I personally think it will be now when Ten Hag gets back off holiday, because they want to do it face to face and try not to let this leak out. Everything that's been going on at Manchester United with what Ineos are doing with the staff, separating the staff from the players and things like that, they're just trying to, I think, rid the club of these leaks. That's what that ploy is, and that's what they're doing with it. But I think it's probably going to come. It's probably not going to come quick enough for the Ten Hag story. I think leaks will come out. I think we will know about it before the club want us to. Always the case with United with big decisions like this. And like the Howard Nurse thing, he only seems to pop up when big decisions come around on Twitter, and it starts winding people up with everything. So yeah, I do think that it's coming to an end. When you look at it 2 weeks into a review, I think that's long enough. I'm pretty certain that Manchester United will have all the information that they need, whether it is the ridiculous story that we heard yesterday regarding Jean-Claude Blanc positives and Sir David Brailsford negatives for Ten Hag, and then both reporting into the main man, Sir Jim Ratcliffe himself. I think there was also a story out earlier on that is taking so much time simply because Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to make the right decision. He doesn't want to look like the man that's made one of the poorest decisions right at the start of his reign at Manchester United as being co-owner of the football club. Well, that goes without saying, but you are going to have to make a massive decision very soon, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, because everybody is waiting to move on. It's not just the fans that are waiting, it's the players, the agents, coaches, everybody. Everybody wants to know what's happening with this. And do you know what? Situations for the players that we've been discussing over the last couple of days, like Jadon Sancho, all come into the public eye with what's happening right now. And it opens up a different line of questioning, I feel, for how Manchester United's summer is going to pan out. Do we start looking at wide players? I mean, the whole conversation regarding Jadon Sancho is another one that people don't really want to talk about. They just want rid of the man. I put it out on Twitter earlier on. I got some ridiculous responses from it. It's just like people just don't look into... They don't look into the situation that is at Manchester United and everything else that's involved with certain players, with the manager, whatever it may be. They just look at the obvious and then you get stupid replies to things. But yeah, look, Ten Hag, I feel, will be looking at this right now personally and going, I have serious doubts. This was talked about earlier on as well. There was a report going around this. I have serious doubts about coming back to Manchester United and working with Ineos. Can he work within the restrictions that Ineos are putting in place? Is he happy to? Because Ten Hag right now needs a completely new contract. Not just because of what I said, back him or sack him and he gets a 3-year deal. No, I feel like he needs a new contract for his new role. And this was reported earlier on. I think the MEN were talking about this, and it's right because I've spoken about this before in terms of Ten Hag needing to know what his role is at Manchester United. And that contract that he's got, if he's staying, needs ripping up, and a brand new one for however long that Ineos want to give it him for, if he is staying, needs to be drawn out for him, because he won't be a manager like he's been a manager at Ajax and like he's been a manager at Manchester United. It won't work that way. So maybe that is the delay in what's happening. Maybe that's why they're trying to take their time as such and make sure that everything is covered. So when it comes to it, if Ten Hag fails under this new contract, if he signs for Manchester United again, then they have got a get out of jail card. There's all sorts of permutations from what decision comes from Ineos next. Whether it is just the same rule, seeing out his year that people have suggested, I cannot see that. Whether it's a new contract and a new role, which I see more likely if Ten Hag stays, or whether he is out the door and they just don't know which manager is going to come in for Manchester United and who is going to take us forward. Who can do a better job than Ten Hag, basically, with this playing staff. And they will be, whether you like it or not, and you can say that I'm just digging Ten Hag's hole even deeper here in this, but Ineos will be looking at the Jadon Sancho, Mason Greenwood situations and going, with a new manager in, can we sort of dilute the situation with Sancho and Greenwood? Can we bring Sancho in under another manager? Because with Ten Hag, we've lost Sancho. Are Ineos looking at it and not even thinking about the fans? Because that would, for me, say, look, we are doing it the Ineos way, and fan And there's a lot of people today, actually, do you know what? We'll talk about what I said earlier on. It falls into this category because I tweeted out earlier on today, for those people crying about Ten Hag, the situation he's in, the way he's been treated by Ineos, I think we need to remember that if it was under the old regime, Ten Hag probably would have been sacked by now because he's got no Champions League football. And some of the responses I got to that, oh my giddy, oh my God. No, he won't be sacked, Adam, because of the fan favouritism that he's got at the football club. That's the only reason that managers have been sacked before, because the fans didn't like them or didn't want them. Well, Jose was sacked because he spoke out against the board. Louis van Gaal was sacked for winning a trophy and not finishing the Champions League. Moyes sacked for not finishing the Champions League. Ollie sacked because he was nowhere near the Champions League and the results were diabolical. So no, Glazers would have easily sacked Ten Hag if Ineos weren't in right now. Ineos are putting a process together, whether you like it or not, and I don't like it. I think it's going on too long. I think the decision should have been made a long time ago, and they should already know. But they are putting a process together to decide on what Ten Hag's future is, if they can do better, or if they can work with Ten Hag under the structure that they're putting in place. It's the only reason he's still at the football club right now. Whether you like it or not, and whether you want to hate on Ineos because you're an Erik Ten Hag fan and you don't want to accept the fact that he's here because Ineos are keeping him here at the moment and giving him the best chance possible, that's up to you. But that is what's happening. And you could say you don't know, Adam. No, like, there's no guarantee, but you just have to look at the history of the football club under the Glazers. With no Champions League football, every single manager's been sacked. The only other times that they've been sacked is when it's been absolutely diabolical, Solskjaer, and when managers have spoke out. Jose. Every single manager. Do you know what I mean? Come on. Ralph Rangnick was supposed to go upstairs, but he spoke out against the club and then was let go instantly. He didn't even see out his second year. So don't tell me that this isn't the way that things go when it's just the Glazers and it's the normal old regime. Ineos right now are keeping Ten Hag in a job. Those are the facts. Like, they are doing a process which is prolonging his time at United. They're giving him a chance. That's what Ineos are doing. They're giving him the best possible chance by looking into everything. It's annoying and frustrating, and people are looking at Ineos by saying, looking down at Ineos by saying, this is the same old United. It's just taking an age. Like, I haven't got a problem with processes and changing things up. But what I see is, like, the whole standard speech from Sir Jim Ratcliffe. You should have known finishing 8th and having our worst ever Premier League season wasn't good enough. Are you going to be blinded by the FA Cup and the fan support off that day for Erik Ten Hag? Like, are they big enough to look past the fan favouritism for Ten Hag at the moment? I'd have thought they would be, and I don't think they're really bothered about us all kicking off right now about how long this takes. They know that they can start spending money officially on July 1st when all the figures are in, and then they're going to start looking, well, they're already looking, I feel like the targets are already made. It's just if we, like we said this morning, if Manchester United can convince them players to hang on until the 1st of July before they sign them, well in the middle of the Euros as well, like we said, which is complicated. So I feel like they've got the targets, they can't move financially because of that, the plan is there, and they're just taking the time because they want to give Ten Hag a chance. It's a weird one. We've not seen it before, and you know what? When it's new and it's the unknown, you start to panic a little bit and you worry, don't you? And I think that's where a lot of the United fan base is at the moment. They just don't know how to take this new setup and what is going on. Please give the video a like, guys. Let's get them likes over 100. Thank you, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. I'm going to come to the comments section right now. I'm sure there's some people having a go at me in there. Let's just scroll up and play it fair. Jonathan says, I don't understand why they have left it this late to decide. It's not the speed of the decision, it's leaving it to the very end of the season. Like, I find it strange. A lot of people do, Jonathan. I'd have thought they'd have been a bit more decisive in their decision. I'm with you on that one. Christopher says, we are Manchester City Council rat catchers. Okay, nice one. You love Ineos, don't you? Linda says, Adam, do you think that's why the delay sorting a new contract? Do you think it's why there's a delay because they're sorting a new contract? Honestly, Linda, I would not be surprised if that was the case. I do think that they do need to change everything that Ten Hag's contract had in it to a new one. He's got a new role. He's going to be a coach. He's going to be a head coach and not a manager. That's what it looks like it's going to be at Manchester United. You don't go out and buy the people. You don't go out and employ the people that United are if you're going to have a manager that has all of this power. It doesn't work. It causes chaos and it causes friction between the manager and the board and everything else through all the levels through the football club. So honestly, Linda, I think, yes, there is an element to that. That's the only thing I can think of for Ten Hag staying, the restructuring of his contract. And while he's away on holiday, is that easy to do? I don't know. Have they spoken to Ten Hag before the end of the season? Clearly not, because he said in the interview in the FA Cup final that they've not spoken to him. If they don't want him, he'll go and win trophies elsewhere. So really interesting regarding what Ineos are doing if Ten Hag stays, and I can't wait to see what that is if that outcome comes. But more, I keep thinking more like, and I keep saying this, that quiet tone on De Zerbi at the moment just makes me think, honestly, something strange about that one, because all the positions I thought De Zerbi could have gone to at different clubs, they're all being taken. They're all being taken by other managers at the moment, so I'm not sure who paid Brighton out and where De Zerbi is going. It's just strange, and you kind of put two and two together on that one, don't you, and try and figure out what's going on. Mr. Dacia Sandero, Adam, hiya mate. Yeah, given that the transfer window opens on the 14th, surely we will find out by Friday. We need to get going. Other clubs are getting their wheels in motion regarding transfers already. Well, Manchester United need to sell as many players before the end of June so that we can forward our financials to the Premier League, the PSR and financial fair play for UEFA. So if we are looking to straighten out our books, we need to sell as many players as possible. So in terms of finding out before the 14th next week, yes, I agree with that, for the fact that United need to know which players Ten Hag doesn't want to work with and needs to be out of this football club. And then we can concentrate the next month on getting them players out, then ready to finance the players that need to come in after the 1st of July. So, yeah, good point, Mr. Dacia Sandero, and I do agree with that one. United are not thinking about fans, says Gehan. Do they ever, mate? Do they ever? Like, we all renewed our season tickets over a month ago now, and we've got no idea who the manager's going to be, what players are leaving or anything. Like, they do not care about fans. Honestly, they'll say that they do, and in that big speech that Sir Jim Ratcliffe made, talking about them just being the caretakers and the keepers of the football club, the fans are the ones that own the club. That seems to be a load of bollocks, doesn't it? That was a big PR stunt. Will Man United, Sancho's busy playing Ultimate Team, ripping up packs, and got a team of the season. Mbappe, he'll be enjoying his free time right now, he will. I think plenty of PlayStation time for our Jayden. That would play into player power again, Adam. We need to get rid of this. In terms of Antony, Ten Hag going and players staying, I think you mean by that. Yeah, because I have just scrolled up my live chat list there. So some people, if you're wondering what I'm talking about now, and then going back to a different story, it's just because I've scrolled back up. Louise in the chat. Hello, Louise. Look at the whole hoo-ha we had after De Gea was sacked when on his holes. I can't imagine Ineos plan on a repeat. Also, we hire a new communications guy, no? Question mark. Surely the Erik Ten Hag announcement will be his first rodeo. What a way to kickstart your career. Yes, Kaz even mentioned that earlier on, Louise. Say, look, this new communication guy starts today. Maybe we will find out something by the end of the week. A few pieces of this so-called decision on Ten Hag puzzle being put together right now, and people are starting to rumour. There were rumours going around last night on a few accounts that it was going to be today. That's been blown out the water unless something happens in the next few hours, of course. But I feel like a lot of people are just looking at possibly it being at the end of this week, maybe early next week. Like Dacia Sandero says, then like before the transfer market officially opens, because they need to get into getting rid of players. Like if Ten Hag knows nothing, like he said after the FA Cup final, what Ineos want to do, then clearly Ineos have not spoken to him about players that he wants out of the football club. Can they fully take control of Manchester United's player situation on all of the ins and outs without Ten Hag's input, if he's going to be the manager, and the problems that we've got coming back, and you know what I mean by that, this summer in players? I don't think they can. So that leads me to think that they don't really care about Ten Hag's thoughts on certain players, and Ten Hag is gone. I can't help but feel that way. That's just me guessing with the information that's out there at the moment with it. So, yeah, that's an interesting one as well that we need to look into, I feel. Let's get into a few more of your comments. Ryan Ball, evening Adam, do you think that maybe, just maybe, they know what they want to do with Ten Hag, but they have left it for a while to see if it gets leaked, to try and find any more, to try and found any more left in the club. Ah, right, I see what you mean by that. So, just to see if it's leaked out to try and source the leaks of the football club. It's definite digging deep on the old Poirot factor there, mate. But it's I don't see it. I don't personally know. At this stage now, it is a massive decision and one that the football club, it's pivotal. It's going to move forward from this point, Manchester United, or it's just going to stagnate. And I think that the decision needs to be, it needs to be clinical. It needs to be clear. If he's staying, especially, I think that's the important one. Like, if he's gone, he's gone. There's nothing more we can do. But if he stays, then I think we have to know what the situation is as fans. Like, it's like you've waited all this time, stringing on Ten Hag while he's on holiday, stringing on the fans, making this big deal about talking to other representatives of other managers. Like, what was the thinking behind it, and how did you come to this decision? Because it's going to make them look stupid if they don't let us know what's actually happened. To take this long to actually just carry on as normal and Ten Hag stays in the job. There's a lot that needs to come out once the decision is made, and hopefully we will find out a bit more. But at the moment, we are still guessing. And if you are just joining us regarding the news and what's come out, Jamie Jackson from The Guardian has said that he's been told by someone, a reliable source, that Manchester United's review of the season and Erik ten Hag will not go past this week. It doesn't mean that we'll hear the announcement this week. It just means that it's close to the review being finished, and then when we find out, well, that's the next bit. But I'm pretty certain I'm right in thinking that Ten Hag comes back from holidays next week, and he's going to want to know straight away, isn't he? And you know what? Guarantee there'll be plenty of cameras outside Carrington with pictures of Ten Hag driving in for his first day of pre-season, and who follows him, i.e., which members of the Ineos new structure are actually following him into Carrington. Guarantee the new guy for communications, Wilcox, I don't know if Sir Jim himself will be there. I'm sure he will leave his foot soldiers to deal with that situation. I will see. It'll be an interesting day, that one, though. Will Man United... sorry, I just lost that one there. I'll just go back to Louise's. Adam, when asked after a cup final if he would be having meetings with Ineos, didn't he say, no, it's already been done? Not necessarily there, but it's a case of his season is done and he's spoken to Ineos. That's what Ten Hag meant, and he's going on his holiday. So there was no plans to have any talks. Ten Hag just backed himself by saying, look, they've already spoken to me. They've not told me they want more meetings, so I'm going to go off what was said weeks ago, which was Ineos want to build on Manchester United's success. They want to build with Ten Hag at the helm. That's what Ten Hag was told. Obviously, things change in football. And for him to come out and say, look, I don't know what they want to do, he can only go off what he was told, or what he was told weeks before. So, yeah, I think that's what he was alluding to more, I think, Linda, on that side of things. Ryan says, the thing I find strange is they haven't backed him publicly once, and they're still talking to other managers, so I don't see them. Yeah, that's the one that just, with everything that you think looks like it's leading towards Ten Hag staying, the thought of us all knowing that Ineos have been talking to other managers, and that's been made public now. Fabrizio Romano was talked about that, and that was happening last week. You cannot think anything other than Ten Hag's gone, if that's the case. Like, they're just discussing amongst themselves in the last few days before Ten Hag comes back, and they tell him who their manager is going to be. Do they want to announce Ten Hag and then announce the new manager straight away? Are they going to give it another week where we announce the new bleeding manager? God knows how they're going to approach this, but I'm guessing The communication guy who's in now will be at the forefront of this again. And I think, you know what, maybe like the out for Ten Hag, then the new incoming manager and dealing with all of that and how they announce that. I think that'll be a massive topic amongst Ineos right now, and how they manage that situation, and just letting all the fans know about it and the media knowing about it. But yeah, you just see different things coming out every day to try and deflect away from the Ten Hag situation, like leaks. And obviously today, some of the media were made aware of the so-called retaining list of players after the 2023-24 season, and then it came out officially from Manchester United later on. On that list, and obviously something else that leads into the manager situation, is certain players that we know are going to be a bit of a problem area this summer. Mason Greenwood, Jadon Sancho. We know that Brandon Williams, Martial and Varane are all going to leave the football club. We're trying to sign contracts possibly for Shoretire, for Amari Forson, for Johnny Evans, for Tom Heaton. All these players that are not on the retain list could still end up at the football club with a new contract. I think that's what the club have put out today. The big one on that is obviously Mason Greenwood. He is officially a Manchester United player. He'll be coming back to the club this summer. And so Jim Ratcliffe has said that he will revisit the Mason Greenwood situation in the summer. Well, the summer's here. The players are on holiday and they'll be back pretty soon. So Jim Ratcliffe needs to get his arse in gear and start telling us what his plans are, or letting us know through his new structured setup at United what the plans are for Mason Greenwood, because there's a lot of people that are just saying, look, just bring Mason Greenwood back, you have to forgive him and everything like that. He has to deal with all of that situation. He does. Does Ten Hag want him back? If Ten Hag's going to be the manager, does he want Mason Greenwood back? There's so much to sort out and so much complicated stuff with Manchester United for this one summer alone that it just doesn't make sense that we haven't had an announcement regarding the manager situation. Because Ten Hag, if anything, whether we like him or not, whether you're in or an out, whatever that debate is, I don't like to get involved in it, I just give my opinion on what I think of the manager. He is the one man that knows everything about this squad right now. He will be the one that wants to deal with Palestre. He's been dealing with Ahmad. Obviously, he had the Ronaldo and De Gea situations, which he dealt with before. He's got to deal with Sancho and Mason Greenwood this summer as well. He will know everything, like, that Ineos need to know about every single player in this squad right now. And the fact that he's away on holiday and there's no communication of him even being the new manager going into the season, it's discouraging, isn't it, as a United fan? It's like, it just makes it look like we are useless. It makes it look like Ineos have had no effect at all. No matter who they've brought in, it just puts that element of doubt into your thinking about Ineos and us going forward. So Mason Greenwood, I think, honestly, I don't see us being able to get a deal to sell Mason Greenwood. And then the complication of the loan system kicks in again, and what we can get from that. Obviously, I've done shows before on Mason Greenwood, and that sell-on fee that Getafe have got as well if we do sell Mason Greenwood. And the reports that I've seen earlier on were that Manchester United value Mason Greenwood at 40 million. So if Getafe take a 20% cut out of that, what you're taking just over 30 million then for Mason Greenwood. Who is going to pay that money for a player that is, yes, he's got 2 years left on his contract, but entering them 2 years and the problems that everybody knows United have got with Mason Greenwood and they cannot use him, no one's going to pay that amount. I could see Mason Greenwood just going out on another loan, personally. That's my opinion. I think 2 years out on loan, maybe the dust will settle a little bit more for Mason and someone will eventually come out and buy him with 1 year left at a cut down price. United will probably try and make out of Mason Greenwood and Jadon Sancho some loan agreement with an obligation to buy, I feel. I think that's where we're heading with it. I personally can't see anyone stumping up the cash for either one of them players. There's just too much baggage with both. Wages with Sancho, attitude, Greenwood, the obvious, as we know. And it's complicated and it's awkward. And I think we need a manager in place just to be dealing with it. I think we just need all our eggs in one basket and we know where we're heading. Ineos will know that Ten Hag is the man to talk to with all of this. The more that I read and the more lack of communication between Ineos and Ten Hag makes me think that he's gone. Like, if they're looking at everything without Ten Hag right now, with the situation with so many players going into this summer, I can't see him surviving. I can't. It just makes no sense at all. You need to be talking to Ten Hag about Sancho. You need to be talking to him about other loan players like Danny van der Beek, like Palestra, like Ahmad. What we're doing there? What do you reckon to Marcus Rashford? This communication should be going on right now, and I hope that if they're keeping Ten Hag, that they have sat down with him and they've had that dialogue and they've gone over absolutely everything that they possibly can with him regarding all of these situations we've spoken about, and they know what they're doing. There is a plan. If there isn't, God help us this summer. It's a minefield and a half, isn't it? It really is. Let's get into the chat on the Mason stuff as well and the Sancho, because I ruffled feathers before on Twitter with the Sancho one. People just don't understand what I'm saying. I don't know. I'll make it quite clear. But if Ten Hag gets an offer today from another club, he will ask to leave, and then Man U have saved on his wages. I've heard a few people say that. I understand it. I just can't see Ineos taking that risk on that, leaving it too late, with the reasons that I just said, with so much to do. Southgate won't be announced until after the Euros, says Scott. Stop it, Scott. We told you no swearing on this channel. It's just a badly run club. That's all money-grabbing club, says Christopher. You'd still rather be United than City, though, wouldn't you, Christopher? At least we didn't cheat. Gary says, perhaps this media position needed filling before announcements. True. I'm guessing things will speed up. They've got everyone they need in position to deal with the situation. So, yeah, what are we waiting for? It could just be a case that they wanted the new communications officer in place. You might be right with that, but we'll see. We'll see. I've got a really funny feeling that this might not be my last stream today. I may be completely wrong, but I feel like something's going to happen tonight. Like, it's just weird. It's got a weird feeling, a weird vibe in the air right now. And I'm asking people, I'm checking around to see what's happening. I've been told that people in the media are guessing at the moment. Nothing is a definite. There was meetings. There's been some significant parties in at Carrington this week having talks. Nobody knows what it's about. If one thing is or has changed under Ineos, it's the media not knowing as much as what they usually do. And I think this is why there is this clamour from the media to try and find out any bit of information possible. 2 weeks is big enough for a review, though, isn't it? Like, surely? They're going to know. They have to know. Jim's busy in United canteen ordering cake, but got no custard and told the canteen staff, for punishment, you are not allowed to mingle with the players. On that, Will, I wanted to talk about that. That's Ineos' way of... I was going to discuss it earlier on today, but my computer crashed. But Ineos' way of, I think, getting rid of the leaks in the football club by not letting staff mix with players now. Are we just building up these players bigger than what they already are in doing that? I don't completely agree with that. I don't. Like, these guys are not superstars. These guys don't belong on this pedestal that everyone is putting them on. Like, we're making Manchester United players, even just normal Premier League players, we're just making them bigger than what they really are. They've just got to a level now where you cannot touch them. It's ridiculous. I understand maybe the logic in it in trying to find out where leaks are coming from, see if it quietens down. Maybe they can then start integrating it back in with the staff again. But I just feel like it builds a divide within the workforce. Like, these people are so much more important than you. And really, they're the ones that don't really give a toss going off the performances on the pitch. I mean, you could argue that a lot of people at Manchester United in the offices haven't been doing their job either. And that's why Ineos have gone in so hard on it. But I think we are getting Ineos factor right now, and we're getting it hard. And there is going to be a lot of changes at Manchester United amongst the staffing setup, let alone people who actually survived and still in a job, by the sounds of things. But yeah, I think that one's a bit too harsh, personally. Like, only staff that work on a daily basis with the players are now allowed to sit in the canteen or mingle with the players. Jesus, man, we're not even going to get interviews soon enough with United players. It's embarrassing. It's like when I was in America doing the tour, like the media over there in America and like the big NBA and NFL stars, they have an obligation to speak to all of the media. And they're bigger than any of the Premier League stars, as we know. It's just a different world. Like, we just build these players up and protect them so much. And United are worse than anyone else. They are. Like that protective bubble that I go on about all the time that these players walk around in. It's ridiculous. We are the biggest club in the world. I understand that. And there is that element that we do need to protect our players a little bit more. Because the fans are worldwide. And we have more fans than anyone. Anything can happen. I understand all of that. But come on. Seriously, like staff who see them every single day, that go through security measures just to get into Carrington. I'm not for that, but this is Ineos for you. Keep liking the video, everybody. Thank you. We're over 150 now. Brilliant stuff. Over 5.5 in the room with us. Keep sharing. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button as well if you're loving the content. We're just saying it straight. I'm sorry if it offends anyone, but it's not going to change. Sorry. They need to make a decision and move on now. Next season preparation depends on it. I think they're dragging it out due to financial fair play window. Well, I said before we're not going to buy anyone. I didn't even know why I picked up on this before when I was talking about situations with Ineos and getting on with things and needing to get on with our targets. United are not going to buy anyone until the 1st of July. We can sell and we can start moving people on from the 14th of June when the official transfer window opens. I just don't think United are going to risk trying to bring anyone in before their figures are put into the Premier League and UEFA for financial fair play and PSR. This is what Nottingham Forest got done for, because they didn't sell a player, I think it was Brennan Johnson to Spurs. They didn't sell him before the end of June, they sold him after, but because of the cut-off being on the 31st of June, that calculated into no sales for that financial year, and they missed out on financial fair play rules and regulations because of that, because they sold him in July and not June. And that's what they tried to come back with the Premier League. Literally 2 weeks later, they sold him to Spurs, but it was too late. And that would have balanced their books out and kept them within the guidelines of PSR. So United, I don't think are going to buy anyone up until the end of June, just to make sure that they can register them figures, to make sure that they're clear, and then the floodgates open after the 1st of July. But we all know that the Euros is on. It's going to be difficult to get players in. So I reckon back end of July, before the tour, hold on to your hats. That's when United are probably going to be busiest, looking at how everything is panning out right now anyway. But yeah, keep your questions and comments coming in, guys. Thank you for joining us in the show. Not many more now before we're back home in the studio. It is our last day, full day today. We're heading back tomorrow. So if there is any news breaking tomorrow, hopefully it happens early on in the day so we can get to reporting it. But yeah, we'll be back home, normal surroundings by the end of the week. Will we be talking about the end or the new contract of Ten Hag by the end of the week? That's the one we want to know about. Let's thank the men and women who sacrificed themselves. If it wasn't for them, it would be a very different world D-Day today. Thank you, Christopher, again. I know you mentioned that yesterday as well, mate. Mike says, a Swedish defender injured himself so bad to stop Rasmus that they have to be carried out. I don't know about that. That must be within the... Is it the Denmark-Sweden game that's going on right now? Adam, if you truly believe MUFC is the biggest club in the world, launch a fans consortium, 150,000 fans paying 16,000 each would get you 50% share of the club, 2.4 billion. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, never going to happen. But it's a nice dream, innit? Adam, mate, I'm thinking this segregation of playing staff at Carrington is to introduce a process to reduce leaks to the media. Yeah, I said the same thing, Jake. I agree. De Zerbi will be the manager, says Jason Sweeney. He keeps his name he's just lingering in the background, De Zerbi. How can some of these players walk into Old Trafford knowing what players have graced the Old Trafford turf. What status and calibre, and keep a straight face when they cash in week after week. Yeah, I get you, but we've given up on self-pride within these players, haven't we? If anything, that should be a minimum requirement to be a Manchester United player. Actually wear that shirt with pride, but even past the manager's directions and plans, like, still play for the shirt. I think with a majority of these players, a lot of the fan base give up on that as well. Adam, get loaded up on the American sweets in the luggage. Yeah, Kaz is on it anyway. You can't afford them. It is dear here, man. God, especially on the actual resort, it's dear. It's ridiculous, man. What is it? 2 packets of crisps, like the big share bags, were like $18. Like, seriously, God. They know how to sting you because you've got you've got nothing there. Have we just passed 45,000 subscribers? Can you double check? Tom just says we have in the chat. That would be something to celebrate. We have to believe, Tom, that we have just passed 45,000 subscribers. Yes, get in there. Another 5k in the bag. Well done, everybody. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Thank you so much. Make sure that you are actually subscribing to the channel if you're new as well. We are growing. We're on the road to 50k. We've just passed 45. Lovely stuff. Love that. And thanks for that super chat as well, Stu, celebrating 45k. Absolutely buzzing with that, guys. Thank you. Biggest download is Ronaldo to Russia. Biggest arrival at Manchester United airport since the Beatles. That's us coming back home. I raise a beer to that. Thank you, Welsh Dragon. $18 for a bag of crisp. Is Avram and Joel there with ski masks on? God, that's bad. That's not just me, is it? That is bad, isn't it? That's really extortionate. It is, but hey, talking about food, I need to go and get some lunch. If anything breaks, I will be all over it, guys. Don't worry. But for now, that is our show wrapped up this early evening. Hope you all have a good evening. Have a fantastic one. Thank you so much again. I'll celebrate the 45k. Love you all. Make sure you stay tuned with your notifications on for anything else that breaks over the next, God knows what, well, a few days, hours. It could happen at any point, but I'm guessing probably I'm going to say Friday. Nah, next week. But anyway, we'll cover it either way. Thanks, guys. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all tomorrow if nothing breaks.